φίλες και φίλοι του Totalbasket, γεια σας. Σας καλωσορίζω στην καινούργια ενότητα της ιστοσελίδας μας, στο κανάλι μας στο YouTube, την ενότητα Total Guests. Βλέπετε διαφορετικό online studio. Στην ενότητα αυτή θα υποδεχόμαστε διάφορους μπασκετμπολίστες, ενεργούς και μη, και μαζί τους θα συζητάμε για θέματα της επικαιρότητας τόσο στο κομμάτι της Ευρωλίγκας όσο και στο NBA. Φυσικά θα αναφερόμαστε στην καριέρα που έχει διαγράψει ο καθένας, ενώ δεν θα λείψουν και ωραίες ιστορίες από αυτούς, από τα χρόνια που έπαιζαν, αν έχουν αποσυρθεί, ή από τα χρόνια που παίζουν, για παίκτες οι οποίοι είναι ακόμα ενεργοί. Στο μικρόφωνο και στην συντροφιά σας θα είναι ο Δημήτρης Παπαδάτος, στην σειρά αυτή των συνεντεύξεων. Σήμερα την αρχή θα κάνει ο ΜΑΡΚΙΖ ΧΕΜΝΣ, ο πρώην παίκτης του Παναθηναϊκού μεταξύ άλλων, ο οποίος μας μιλάει φυσικά για τα χρόνια του στην Ευρωλίγκα, στέκεται στις σεζόν που πέρασε στον Παναθηναϊκό, ενώ μιλάει φυσικά και για την συνύπαρξή του με τον Δημήτρη Διαμαντίδη, καθώς και τους άλλους Euroleague Legends που είχε ο Παναθηναϊκός, καθώς επίσης θα μας μιλήσει για την Ευρωλίγκα και το πώς βλέπει την φετινή διοργάνωση. Εσείς φυσικά δεν έχετε παρά να κάνετε like στο βίντεο και subscribe στο κανάλι, έτσι ώστε να μην χάσετε καμία από τις επόμενες συνεντεύξεις, καμία από τις επόμενες εκπομπές που θα ακολουθήσουν στο κανάλι μας στο YouTube. Καλή απόλαυση! So I'm here with ΜΑΡΚΙΖ HEΜΝΣ on Total Guests, the former basketball player, former player of Panathinaikos BC. So ΜΑΡΚΙΖ, welcome and thanks for accepting my invitation.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited, man. It's been a while since I've done basketball interviews and that type of thing. So yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, ΜΑΡΚΙΖ, as I told you before, we're not going to talk only about this year's Euroleague, but of course about your basketball journey. We will stay more to your Panathinaikos tenure, and I think you will enjoy it. Are you ready for this?
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Let's dive in.
Okay. First, talking about your childhood, it's, it has been surely tough for a little man in Texas to grow up and chase his basketball dream. So how was your time there?
Yeah. Very competitive environment. Very competitive environment. And a rough environment too, especially when I was really young, like ages like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's where I developed my love for basketball. Trying to find an outlet or a healthy escape from just we all have our stories, but for me, that's where I developed my love for the game, and it just grew from there.
Yes, it's really common for a guy in Texas and in cities like this to have a story that makes them love basketball even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is common. I think basketball is a great outlet. It's a sport that you don't need a lot of money to play. All you need is a ball and your imagination. Sometimes when you're young, you don't even need a goal. If you don't even need a basketball. You could use something else, and if you have your imagination, you can just pour into it. So
self-designed baskets.
Yeah, exactly. And when I was younger, I used everything. I used the basket for the clothes, in the house, anything, the trash can, and you can imagine. And so I think if you have any type of difficult circumstances, I think for a child, basketball is a great place to go. Get your emotions out, really. And your imagination, it gets you into your body, out of your head, out of your mind. So, it touches a lot of different things that I think a human needs. And it's just like a natural place for people to go.
Okay. Now let's go a little bit further and to your college years.
Mm-hmm.
You've been to Boston College and Texas Arlington in Boston. I saw that you were teammate with Tyrese Rice and Jared Dudley, two of the best teammates probably you ever had in these years. How was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, man, Boston College was a hell of a learning experience. It was a lot of learning. We had a really good team. I want to say that team had 9 professionals on it. Nine of us went to be professionals, you know, at a really high level. Craig Smith was on that team, was first round draft pick, or he might be second round. He might have been first. Sean Williams, first round draft pick. Sean Marshall, 13-year professional overseas. We had a good team, man. So it was a learning experience. It was so much talent. It really introduced me to like just a higher level of basketball and showed me how much harder I needed to work to make it. You know?
The second question that it has to do with these years in college has to do with which players do you think that inspired you the most at this time?
At this time, I would say Kobe. Kobe was my biggest inspiration at that time. Just his confidence, you know, and I went through a lot of adversity early in college, so I needed something to inspire me, something, you know, and he was just so confident, you know, even when people didn't believe in him. So Kobe was huge for me. I love Steve Francis because I love Kobe, but I love Kobe's mindset. I wasn't six.
The Mambo mentality, okay.
Yeah, and I wasn't tall like Kobe though. You know, I didn't have his physical gifts. So Steve Francis was more like my style of play. You know, small combo guard, could score it, very explosive. He was somebody I looked. I was like, okay, that's somebody where I can just be explosive and play my game. And at that time, they didn't like small scoring guards at that time. Now everybody likes a small scoring guard, but back then, you know, my style of play, people were like, well, you're not a point guard all the way. And I'm like, you know, there's like, but you're not a shooting guard. And I was like a little bit before my time. You know, they didn't respect it as much back then.
You were like a shooting guard in the body of a point guard.
Oh, I was just like I think more than anything, I was just like a pure hooper, you know. And I think at that time, everyone wanted to put people in boxes. If you're this height, you're this point. I mean, you're this position. But now you see like Nikola Jokic, he's a point guard. That he's actually a point guard, but he plays the center position. But his mind is like a point guard. You know, he could. And I think now like it's positionless basketball. If you could dribble, you could pass it, you could shoot it, and you smart, you could play ball. And the position doesn't matter so much. So I think before, at that time, I was kind of like that. I could play multiple positions, but people needed it to be like, it's got to be like this, got to be like this. You know, now I think everybody understands, you know, it's better to have people that are versatile.
Yes. So we are moving on to the 14th of June in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
You participated in the NBA draft, but unfortunately, you went undrafted. How are your feelings at this moment?
It was difficult. It was difficult, but I was prepared for it. I knew that, you know, I had a chance to get drafted. I played well. I had a good college career, but I also knew that I was a little bit unknown, a little bit of like a mystery. But I had a good opportunity, and when I went undrafted, I was disappointed for sure. I think, but I just used it as fuel. You know, I was pissed. You know, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna prove how good I am.
Motivation.
Yeah, for sure, definitely motivation for sure, and it helped me. I had a really good rookie year after because I was pissed off. You know, I was not happy about it, so it helped me. It helped me for sure.
So you decided to move to Europe
Hmm.
right after the draft, and my question is, how difficult was for a young guy to move from the US to a European club at a young age? And the second question is, did you have any offer from the NBA or from the G League?
Hmm. Yeah. So first question, yeah, it was difficult. It was more difficult than I anticipated. Like, I don't think I really thought about it. You know, I was too young. My vision wasn't large enough to understand the adjustment. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go play basketball overseas. But I never really, I didn't under. I mean, I have no idea. You know, so it didn't hit me until I got off the plane, and I was like, oh shit, they don't speak English. Like, okay. And so it was a big adjustment. It was a big adjustment. The living and the lifestyle, and it's a totally different world. But on the court, it was the adjustment was easier on the court. Off the court, it was hard. Which eventually started to affect on the court, because off the court was difficult, and to be alone and to not, it was difficult. But what was the second question? You said the second question.
The second question was if you had any offer from the NBA or the G League at this moment.
Yeah, so I could have did the G League for sure, but I just didn't want to do it. I didn't, like, no part of me wanted to do it. The NBA, I didn't have any real offers. I was I could have waited for the training camp offer, but I would have had to turn down the overseas offers to wait and just to kind of see what would happen. And I didn't feel like
it was risky.
Yeah, it was a little risky. My agent, he just gave me the options. He was like, you could see. He's like, there's interest, but I didn't have any guarantees from the NBA for sure. So I was like, I was like, nah. I had some really good overseas offers. Like, they were solid, and it felt like intuition. Like, I had a lot of good overseas offers, and then NBA was kind of like, yeah. So to me, it just makes sense. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go take it where I want it, and continue to build, to continue to grow.
You told something about the G League. It's something that sometimes many players nowadays choose to stay and chase the NBA dream by playing a G League rather than moving on to European basketball. A very recent example is Lonnie Walker, who moved to Zalgiris and is playing really well. And of course, I mean, always the NBA will be his goal.
Yeah, I see it a lot. I mean, I think what's most important is understanding who you are, because the NBA it's the dream, but it might not necessarily be the best place for everybody. For a player like me, I would actually be more happy, like, playing meaningful basketball, closing games, making decisions, shooting game winners. That makes me more happy than being in the NBA. But
I mean, that's what you are looking for when you're starting to play the game.
Exactly, it's pure. So I think eventually we all want to go to the NBA because it's a big status symbol. It's big for the status, and you feel like it's kind of like it's a validation. But if you really look at it, the NBA isn't. The NBA is the probably the most talent, but it's not always the best basketball. So there are some players outside the NBA that are damn good and better than some guys in the NBA. Now, obviously, the NBA has the biggest stars, like the biggest, the top of the top play in the NBA. But when you start getting to the middle tier and the lower tier, the overseas guys, there's guys that's just as good. It just depends on your preference. So to me, once I started to understand who I was, I understood that, high level, meaningful basketball, is the dream. And so I wouldn't be more happy being a backup or third string point guard, in the NBA as I would, being the guy that, being able to test my capability, So I had to find the best fit, and for me, that was in Europe. It's different for everybody though. If guys that have maybe more talent or that maybe like, if you could go be an NBA All-Star, go do it. But that wasn't my journey. That wasn't my ability. So I had to find, you got to find like, what's good for you.
Yes. So moving on to your first Euroleague attempt, it was in 2013 with Milan. Okay. And you stayed and played only 10 Euroleague games. Why do you think you didn't manage to stay more there?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I think the team was underachieving a little bit, and they needed to make a move, so they wanted another point guard. They went and got Daniel Hackett. I wasn't the starting point guard. Gerald's was. And I think, when you look at your roster, you got to figure out, it's a lot of things. It's how much money people are making. It's who fits where.
They had quite a good roster at this time. I mean, Keith Langford and some other
it was
guys.
A great roster. Yeah, it was a great roster, but things weren't working. So you look and you say, okay, well, where can we make a move? And they brought in Daniel Hackett. And so when they brought in Daniel Hackett, I knew he had relationships with the coach. He was Luca Banchi was the coach, and that was his. They were together in Siena. I looked at all the relationships, and I was like, okay, like I'm kind of like the odd man out. And also, I mean, at the end of the day, like sometimes shit just don't work. Banchi, I wasn't his player. You know what I'm saying? Like, so as a coach, for me, it didn't put me in the best situation, to play my best basketball. And I didn't play my best basketball, no excuses, but I need to be a place that that fit me better. So I think, in basketballs, man, sometimes you just need the right situation. You need people that believe in you, and you need to believe in the people. So for me, it just was kind of like not the right fit. I needed to go somewhere where I had a little bit more freedom, and that where there was like just probably like a little bit more trust.
So you moved to Siena, the team you said before, and after this, you moved to Maccabi for another Euroleague attempt, let's say.
Yo.
How was your time in Israel?
It was up and down in Israel. Israel. I mean, I played, like, when I think back, it felt like I had a bad year, but I really didn't. Like, I actually played for where the opportunity I had. I played decent. I had some really good games. I wasn't consistent though. I definitely wasn't consistent. But I also realized that, it's tough, man. Like, one thing with basketball, it's you got like your play, like what you could actually do, and then you also got like relationship situations, and I feel like Maccabi was a place where, like, I don't feel like I had like the relationships, everybody, that's a tight family over there. It's a tight family, and I feel like everybody there was family. And I kind of was new, they was coming off a championship. And so, it was another one of them situations where it was like, it's a great experience, but not necessarily the best fit for me, fit for my style. And that's where I learned that, it's not just your talent. You could think you're the most talented in the world, and there are some players that are so talented that no matter where they go, it's got to work. If you're LeBron James, wherever you go, the situation is gonna bend to work for you. But
adjust
that's not
to your play style.
Exactly, but that's not me. So I realized after Maccabi, okay, I need to put myself in better situations. I got to put myself in situations that where I'm on the same page with the coaches, with the GM, with the owner, with the play, like who's going to be on the team, those type of things. I gotta put myself in better situations that fit me, So great culture, great organization, and as Milan too, great organizations. I learned a lot, but as far as like my happiness and comfort on the court, I wasn't super comfortable.
And I think you were pretty comfortable in Ντινάμο Σάσαρι.
Yeah.
Was the team that followed, and I believe that this was the team you had your best Euroleague games there. And let's say that this was the team that gave you the chance, and gave you the chance to move to Panathinaikos.
Yeah, it was good. I think we underachieved a little bit in Sassuolo. They were coming off a championship the previous year too. But as far as like I go, yeah, they trusted me. They put the ball in my hands, and there was still some learning I needed to do. For the EuroLeague level, it's a different level, so there was still some learning. But I played well. I feel like I did the best I could do. I think when it came time to go to Panathinaikos, they came and asked me. Panathinaikos was looking to add some ball handlers. And they came and asked me if I wanted to go, and I was like, yeah. Let me do it. So, they bought me out, and I went to Pana.
You saw it as a lifetime experience for a really historic club, and although you won the Greek Cup, You didn't manage to make it to the Euroleague Final Four as you were eliminated from Baskonia,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't also win the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So, how was your time with the Greens?
I had fun, man. It was good. I knew coming in that I was coming to play a supporting role. You know, I knew that I needed like that. They had Nick, Kaletis, Feldine, and obviously Mitso was there. They needed some help, you know, and so I was like, okay, I could do that. You know, I think in the other situations, I was expecting something different. You know, I was expecting to be the main guy or one of the main guys that, you know, and have space and trust to make more mistakes. I knew with Penn, I was like, okay, I'm coming to help. And so it made it easier to just to play that role. It was, man, hell of an experience. My favorite arena to play in, Euroleague arena, is Owaka. I learned so much, man, and it was really cool, man. I enjoyed it, and just like, yeah, high level organization. You know, it was cool.
So, you said that you were teammates with Kalathis, Diamantidis, some other names, Fotis, Gist.
Mm-hmm.
How was it to play with basketball legends, EuroLeague legends?
Yeah, it was dope, man. It was really cool. I think, you know, just being around Diamantidis and getting to know his personality was really cool because, you know, he's just so chill. He's so laid back. You know, it's like very, very light, loose guy. You know, so it was cool to watch how he operated. I think at that time of my career, I feel like I probably took things like a little too serious. So he helped me learn how to just kind of like loosen up. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's okay. You know, and naturally he had already had so much success, so it's a little bit different, but it was dope. Folks is same, like just super chill, man. Like, but we had a good group, man. We had a group of guys that were very like a really good team chemistry. Everybody loved each other. Like, we all hung out all the time. Every day we was hanging out. Elliot Williams, uh, you know, and me and him were new, so we were exploring the city together a lot. But it was cool, man. It was dope, and it showed me, you know, even though I probably didn't have the success at the EuroLeague level that I wanted to have prior to that, by being in there with like legends and, you know, even Milan, Maccabi, and then being in Pana, I knew I could play at that level. You know, like I knew it. Like I'm in practice every day, and I'm like, okay, like I belong here. You know, you just got to find that space for you. You know, so it was cool, like being with Mito and just playing with these guys there. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, like, you know, this is. But Penna's really was a lot of fun though, especially the city. Athens was dope.
So, Panathinaikos is one of the main topics of our interview. If you don't mind, you can tell me one or two stories that either funny or not that you will never forget.
Yeah, yeah. I got there's a lot of funny stories actually. I tell people all the time. Most of my funniest stories come from Panathinaikos. I tell a funny story. The funniest story, the craziest story was in the playoffs. We were playing Aris. We were playing Aris, and we got in trouble. It was like a big story because we all went out. I think we were up we was up 2-0, 5-game series, and we were going to Aris. So we get there, and I think we lost. We lost game one. So we lose game one, and we just wanted to, I guess, kind of like, you know, let it go. So we went out that night. Some of us went out that night, and I don't know. I didn't stay out late. You know, I think I stayed out till like 12 or 1. But in the game, I think it was right after the game. And you know, in Europe, everybody makes a big deal if you go out. Like if you fucking go out and have a good time or something, it's like, oh. So anyway, I get a knock on my door at like 8 in. It's Pedulakis, Coach Piss. He like, yo, he was like, Malika, we big problem, Malika. I was like, what's up? He's like, did you go out last night? I was like, yeah, what's up? He was like, we got big problems, team meeting. So I look at my phone and I got like hundreds of messages on Instagram, Twitter. I'm like, what the fuck? I look and it's like a Greek tabloid magazine with a blurry picture of me and Feldine, and I got my head circled, and it's like we at a bar. and they're talking about like, oh, we partied all night, all this other shit. So when we get to the meeting, I see that basically I found out that some of the players stayed out all night, like 5, 6 in the morning. So, naturally I ain't gonna be like, oh, okay, like I only stayed out till 1. It's like, nah, we all went out, cool. So they end up suspending us. I think they suspended me. Who else? Gist, and for sure Feldine, for sure, I think. So we're like, we go to the game, or we didn't go to the game. We stayed at the hotel. We hoping we win. If we win, we close it out. 3-1. Okay, it's done. Of course we lose without me, Gist, and Feldine. So we like, fuck. So we get to the it's 2-2. I'm getting death threats. Like the fans are threatening me. Like if you fuck up Diamantidis this last year, we'll kill you. Like it's like it's bad. We coming back to Oaxaca for Game 5. So when we get back, we get back and we gotta have a meeting with the big dog. Now we gotta have a meeting with the big dog now. So we come in there, he got he got like the army trucks and shit, and he got like all the security waiting on us and shit, like real trying to intimidate us for real. So we go in the meeting with him, and he's pissed, and he's like, he's pissed, and he's he's got his feet up on the desk and shit. Real look like like the Godfather or some shit. Like it's crazy meeting. And basically he tell us like, yo, y'all better hope we win Game 5 or it's gonna be fucked up for all of y'all. Like, he kind of threatened us low key. Shit was funny. He kind of threatened us. He was like, yo, you better hope we win this shit. So I think they want to fine us. They want to fine us like, they try to fine us like 10%. But I thought they were trying to fine us 10% of the month. They tried to fine us 10% of the year. And so, you can't do that shit. So they told us to like basically sign the paper, like saying that we agree to a fine. And I was like, fuck that. I was like, I'm not signing that shit. And then they were like, well, you better sign this shit because if you don't sign it, you can't play in Game 5. And basically kind of leveraging us like, if you don't play, like if you fuck this up, fans gonna be mad, everybody's gonna be mad. You better sign this. I was like, yo, I'm not signing that shit. Like, I'm not signing that. Like, you're not taking 10% because I went out. Fam, like, no, it's not happening. And and I didn't want to say that I was only out till 12 or 1. I was like, okay, we all went out, cool. So anyway, they said we couldn't practice until we signed it. So I was like, fuck it, I ain't, So Pedulakis was like, look, just stay, watch practice. We're gonna figure it out. The next day was a game. And so I'm like, fuck. I come in there and I see this shit funny. I see Feldine and Gist, they was putting their shoes on to get ready for shoot around. Or no, that wasn't shoot around, to get ready for the game. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, they was like, man, we just signed it, man. Just sign that shit. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Now I look like an asshole because they signed it and I didn't. So I'm like, oh, shit. So I'm the only one that's sitting out, that's about to sit out of Game 5. Everybody else about to play. So GM comes to me and he was like, I just signed the paper. Come on, we signed the paper. We go win Game 5. We done. I was like, I'm not signing that shit, bro. I'm sorry. I just ain't signing that shit. So, they about to get, I'm like, okay, like, I'm not signing that shit, so they about to get ready to go out and play. Like, I'm sitting there, and then at the last minute, right before warm-ups, Pedulakis came in, and he was like, suit up, Malika, you play. And I was like, oh, shit. So, all the players was hyped up, like, damn, because, sometimes, like, with the organization, they'll try to pressure you, to do some shit. And I was like, bro, like, so I ended up playing. We all played, we won naturally, we went on and advanced in the playoffs. But it was a funny story because it was just like, yeah, it was fucked up. It was a fucked up situation. It was a big deal. It was all in the papers. It was all in the tabloids. It was just a big deal about us almost losing and potentially messing up Diamantidis last year. But what no one knows is Diamantidis didn't give a fuck. Yeah, he didn't care. He was like, sorry, Monica, don't worry. But we it was a funny story because the fans always see one thing, and inside no one really knows what's going on, and so it wasn't as big of a deal. To the players, it's like it's normal, this is normal stuff. Like nobody tells the fans after they get off from a hard day of work, don't go have a drink. Like we don't do that shit to y'all. Like y'all, so.
So now we're moving on to your Venezia tenure, and my question before my question, I'm going to say that I believe that we saw the most consistent version of ΜΑΡΚΙΖ ΧΕΜΝΣ in those years.
Mhm.
And first, how was your time in Venezia? I mean, Italy was a good place for you. And the second is, do you have any offer from Euroleague team that you, I mean, that you thought about it and con- so if you could return back to the EuroLeague?
Mhm. I'm trying to think. Let's see. I don't remember if I had any EuroLeague, like any good EuroLeague offers or not, but I remember that I didn't care. Like I remember that I just wanted to be somewhere where I could just be the best version of myself. So I don't remember what teams I turned down that year. I just remember when I was negotiating, I didn't give a fuck about I didn't care. I was like, I want to talk to a coach that I trust what he's saying to me. That's it. And so when I talked to Walter de Raffaele, I trusted him. I was like, I know he knows who I am and he trusts me. And
You
so
know that what he was asking from you.
exactly. He told me from the beginning. He was like, he told me what the offense was. He told me he understood what type of player I was, and he wanted to give me the keys to the offense. And for me, I do need to be somewhere where I got the freedom to make mistakes. So if for a coach that can allow me to get comfortable, then I'm always going to play my best consistent basketball. But if I got to worry about, like if you fuck with me or not, or if you trust me and if you're going to pull me every time I make a mistake, yeah, it did at times bring out, a very inconsistent, version of me. So really for me, that was important. I didn't really care. So I don't remember if I turned down any EuroLeague teams. I'm sure I did, but I didn't care at that point. I didn't care if it was Euro Cup, EuroLeague. I think we did Champions League that first year. For me, it didn't even matter. I just wanted to go be happy to play basketball again. Free. I wanted to play basketball free. And to me, like that's more important. That was more important at that point. And the times I got to play free, I played amazing. At Siena, I played free. I think that was amazing. That was probably the highest level of basketball that I had ever played. Was when I went to Siena. Then my first year in Cologne, high level. So for me, everywhere I went that they let me play free, I liked it. So that was my main goal, and yeah, it showed. We played well. I played well in Venice.
Now, 4 years and 4 years after your retirement, would you like to be involved in a basketball team with a different role?
Say that again. That's me again.
4 years later after your retirement, would you like to be involved in a basketball team with a different role?
Possibly. People have been asking me to coach forever. Like I've been being asked. I think for me my basketball mind is greater than my talent ever will be. I'm a nerd for the game, man. I study the game. My brain for basketball is way bigger than my skill, and I have a passion for helping players develop. Because when I was younger, I didn't experience a lot of development. Most of it was just talent, and I just figured it out on my own. Mostly, it took me a while to meet people that could help me develop. So I have a passion for development. But for me, mostly it's internal development, mentality, the internal environment. And so I think that's where I'm most suited, like to help people, because it was something that I had to learn in my career that, damn, like you got people that could teach you how to shoot a jump shot. And you got coaches that know X's and O's. But most coaches, I never met a coach that could help me understand my internal environment. They could tell me if I ran a pick and roll right or not, or they could yell at me and pull me out the game. But I never met nobody that understood how to regulate my emotions. Or, most of the coaches I had were, they panicked and they always screamed and yelled, which sometimes you need that. And sometimes you got to be calm. Sometimes like when it's pressure, most of the coaches I met, they didn't react very well under pressure, or they were always scared to get fired, or they were always scared that the fans were mad. So naturally, like, that type of leadership, shit, like your players gonna feel that. So the type of leader I am and the type of leader I became and the type of leader that, my career taught me was how to be very calm, and I think in Venice, I started to learn that, this is what makes a player great, to be calm through it. And sometimes, there were times where I had to learn to be more calm than, my coaches, or calm my coaches down. So I think for me, if I'm going to be involved with a team, I like that role of mindfulness, mindset, mentality, teaching the players how to regulate their emotions and, how to find that calm within themselves so they're relaxed enough to just play how they know how to play no matter what. And I think in my early career, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to regulate myself and calm myself down. I didn't understand how to manage the stress. You just try to go play better. And sometimes that's not the answer. Sometimes you need to go internal. And so that's what I teach people to do. That's what I do now. And, if I work with a team, it would probably be in that fashion.
So, moving on to this year and this year Euroleague, I mean, your last team, Paris, is on top, while some powerhouses like Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, and Fenerbahce are following. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think that it's a natural progression, man. That. And I think one of the things that we see is that a lot of times when people build teams, they think by spending the most money or getting the most talent that they'll win. And I don't think they understand that, it's easy to look at players and look at their talent, but to understand how the pieces fit, you have to look at it from a further view and look beyond the talent or look beyond the reputation. You got to see their body language. You got to see their demeanor. You got to understand how personalities fit and work together. It's energy dynamics. And I don't think that all people in the front office of teams understand that. I think they put the talent together and tell the coach to make it work. And it's nah, you got to understand how a certain guy's mindset works, how his mentality works, how this guy might not work very well with this coach or with this other teammate, or this guy's personality is really big. And this guy's personality is really big. Okay, how do we make that work? Well, then you need a coach that can make those pieces fit. If you got too many egos and, it's and too much talent, sometimes
It's not easy to put together so many stars.
Yeah, and you need stars. You need some stars, but you need
So
complementary.
you have to find the balance between the amount and the quality.
Absolutely, and you need the right leadership. If you put together a team with a bunch of stars, you better have a strong leader, and the type of leader that understands when to, and when to calm down. It's a balance, and I think sometimes the coaches' egos are too big. The coaches in Europe are stars, and they have had success. So I think sometimes with their success, it has to be their way. And I understand that because these coaches are legendary, but sometimes you need someone that is that understands how to kind of take a step back, or when it doesn't need to be their way, or when to let the players have the space. And so I think it's managing egos, leadership. The better the leadership, the better the pieces fit together. So if you're gonna get stars, you better have a strong leader for sure.
So, who do you think is the MARΚΙΖ HEΜΝS of this year's Euroleague? Talking about the style of basketball play.
The style of that's a good question. That's a really good question. I mean, honestly, I think there's always a lot of players that are similar to me, because for me,
I can see Sylvain Francisco as one of them.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And he actually, so fun story. I played with him for 1 month in Paris when I finished in Venice. Right before COVID hit, I went to Paris, and they needed a leader. They needed someone that could help them make the push, because they were in Pro B, and they wanted to make a push to First Division and to Euroleague. And so they called me while I wasn't playing. And I was like, and they told me the vision, and I was like, I think I can help y'all. So I went and I played with him, and he's very similar guy. I think I haven't watched a lot of him this year, but a guy that had talent and needed to learn the leadership, learn how to lead a team. And that was the progression of my career. Big talent, learning how to lead, you know, and over the course of my career, I learned it. So, yeah, he's definitely, I love him, man. I love him. That kid is really talented.
So if I ask from you to give me your Final Four, your prediction about the Final Four, what would that be?
I haven't watched enough this year to know. This year I haven't watched. I haven't watched a lot of Euroleague. I watched specific games. I watched some Pana. I watched I watch my old teams sometimes, but I haven't watched enough to I haven't seen enough games to really know this year. I've actually been really quiet. I've been traveling. I've been not on the internet, so I haven't this year. I can't answer that. I wish I could, but now that we've had this interview, I'm gonna pay closer attention. But I haven't been watching. I watched some Pana because I like to see what they're doing a lot of the time.
They have possibilities, right?
They do. They got a hell of a team. A lot of talent, so they got chances. They got to put it together, but yeah, they got chances for sure.
Okay, so now we're going to enter to the last part of our interview with some troll false question or some dilemmas, okay?
Okay.
True or false? Kendrick Nunn is the best player in Euroleague.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say nah. I'm gonna say false. That's a good one.
If not, who is the best?
Yeah, you know what? I give it to him this year. I give it to him. I give him that. I give him that. He's playing his ass off.
The second one, Giannis is the best player in the world.
Giannis? No.
Who is the best player? Jokic?
Jokic or Shea?
Shea.
Jokic or Shea? Yeah, it's Jokic. It's gotta be Jokic. Yeah, it's gotta be Jokic.
Would the best Euroleague team make it to the NBA play-ins at least?
It depends on the rules. If okay, put it like this. An NBA play-in team, if they were playing in Europe, I don't think that they would win Euroleague. But if you take the Euroleague champion and put them in the NBA, I'm not sure they would make it to play-in, if that makes sense. Because the rules are so different and the styles are so different. So
it's like a different game.
It's not the same sport. It's like when people talk about NBA and WNBA, I'm like, they're not the same sport. Like it's a totally different sport. So to answer the question though, I think if with some time to adjust.
If we take the best 12 combined with the appropriate roles.
Yeah, I mean the best EuroLeague players for sure could have success in the NBA. But could you take the team and make it, because the NBA is so different. It would take a lot of adjusting. Like it's so different, so yeah, if you play in EuroLeague rules, a EuroLeague style of play, for sure. Absolutely. But if it's NBA rules and style, it might be hard. Yeah, it'd be hard for the EuroLeague team to. I don't think they would be like last place, but they would fight. I think they would fight for play-in.
Although you told me about this before, I'm going to ask it again. Do you think is it better to be a role player in the NBA or being a starter and a star in the EuroLeague?
It depends on your style of play, and I say that because if you're like a specialist, like if you just shoot, like you're a shooter, or if you just block shots or pick and roll and dunk, then maybe to be a role player in the NBA. But if you're a guy that is used to having the ball in your hands, or you do a lot of things, very versatile.
Taking responsibilities in the game.
Yeah, I think then it's because you're not gonna be happy. It's not your personality. You got to know who you are. So if you're a guy with like a big personality, then it's better to go be a star in Europe. You know, like I had a big personality. That's what I was when I came out of college. I averaged 25 points a night. You know, I'm not gonna be, happy if I don't have some role. Not that you have to be the star, but you got to be involved. You know, you want to be involved. You know, somebody, even if it's okay, 6 man off the bench or instant offense, you want to be involved. You know, if you take like Keith Langford. I use Keith Langford. Keith Langford could absolutely play in the NBA, like absolutely. But is he gonna be happy if you play him 14 minutes a night and he's just as good as the starter? He's not gonna be happy with that shit. You know, he's not. You know, he's got to go. He's more happy to set the EuroLeague scoring record. You know, if you look at Mike James, to me, Mike James is, you know, he played in the NBA and he had success in the NBA. You know, but we don't
He
even.
was quite good in the NBA.
You said what?
He was quite good in the NBA,
He
Mike.
was, but as a fan, I'd rather see him in EuroLeague because I want to see him all night. I want to see him play 30 minutes a game and do amazing things. I don't want to see him play behind someone that I think he's just as talented as in the NBA, but he can't play because he's not making as much money. It's like, nah, put him in the game. You know, like when he was with Brooklyn, I'm watching and I'm like, they need him. Like they actually need him to play. So to me, yeah, if you got a big personality, like, man, go over to Europe or go play somewhere where you'll be happy, you know?
2 last questions. First, give me your 3, 4, 5 best players you've ever faced.
Best I ever faced. All right. I always give this story. When I first got to Europe, I didn't respect European basketball because I didn't know nothing about it. So when I'm coming from the States, I thought I didn't know how good the players were. So my second year when I was in Spain, I think early in the season, maybe it could have been the preseason, we played it was Kaha Labara, yeah, and Teletovic was there. Mirza Teletovic. And I was like, who the fuck is he? He was amazing. Like I was like, yo, he was the first guy that I saw in Europe that I was like, he's supposed to be in the NBA right now. He was athletic, shoot the 3, ISO, post up, like everything. And so he was the first guy that I was like, damn. And I think he ended up going to the NBA the next year, you know. But so he was one of the first. But I would say as far as like the guys, the best I played, for sure, Tyrese Rice, which for me, you know, I played against him every day in practice in college. And then we played against each other 2 or 3 times in our pro career. But for me, he was just like, he's always been one of the best that I played against. Just hard to guard. I think I known him so long, I think it made it easier for me to guard him because I knew him. You know, I knew what he wanted to do. But if for a guy like him, if you haven't played against him, he's impossible to guard. His game is
Unbelievable talent.
Yeah, and his game is just his game is not. And I mean, there's guys with probably as much talent, but his game is just it's special. It's like a special style of game. So if you don't know him and you ain't played against him, he's really unguardable for real. So Reese, I would say Keith Langford, you know, playing against him every day in practice, and then when I went to Siena, like that playoff series, you know, I mean, we had to double team him. He was just like so good. We just every time he got the ball, we were like just double team him because he's so smart. He gets to his spots, draws fouls, strong, patient with the ball, low dribble. Like, you know, it's just hard to guard. He knows how to hoop. So Langford was one of them ones. And then I'll say
Mike James, Darius Adams could be serious candidates.
maybe, but I didn't see. I say like this. For me, I didn't have so many battles with Mike James. You know what I'm saying? Like when we played in the EuroLeague playoffs, he wasn't at the peak yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So he wasn't at his peak yet. We played twice in Milan when I was in Milan, but I didn't have a lot of battles with him. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't so. He's probably the most talented I've seen in Europe, I think, but I didn't have to like face it head up. You know what I'm saying? I would say that I actually had like a lot of battles with. I would say, I'll say Keith, Tyrese. And sometimes you just run into guys that just do special shit out of nowhere. Like, they just have some of their best performances. I would say Joe Ragland was a big one for me. We just had so many battles. He played in Europe. He played in Italy for a long time. We had so many battles. David Logan, a lot of battles. So maybe they weren't the most talented, but just guys that like I just saw a lot of times. You just battling with them constantly. I would say them. And then another Andrew Gallock. He's somebody I saw quite a few times, and then I think even in the Euroleague playoffs with Maccabi, Jeremy Pargo, I played with him, not against him, but I practiced against him. So I got to see him quite a bit. And I would say, lastly, I'm trying to think of obviously
Spanoulis.
Yeah, you took it out. You took it out of my head. Spanoulis he just understood the game so well. He was so smart. Juan Carlos Navarro. I have a funny story about him. My second year playing, and this was how he was just so smart and understood the game so well. We're playing, he's guarding me. They're running a play for me, but I couldn't hear the play. It was loud in there. I think we was at Barcelona. It was loud, and they called a play, and I couldn't hear it. So I'm like, "What's the play? What's the play?" And he whispers the play in my ear because he knows the play, and then he overplays the play because he knows where I'm going. That was funny. I was just looking at him like, I think the play, I don't know, it's like 1-up or some shit like that. And it plays for me to come off of a pin down. And he was like, it's 1-up. And then he just overplays it. So it was just funny, yeah. I think the next play down, he shot like a 1-leg 3 in my face or some shit like that. It's like something crazy, So those are my guys. Those were the guys that I had a lot of fun playing against, and talented guys.
So last question.
Mm-hmm.
If possible, give me your starting 5 more talented teammates you ever had.
The teammates. All right. Teammates. I was most talented, like favorite teammates or most talented? Because it's a little different.
Whatever you like.
Okay, we'll go with I'll give you both. I'll give you both. My favorite backcourt mate was Julian Stone. He was a big guard that loved to pass. And we played really well together. Obviously won multiple championships. He had like that mentality that I had, just very, very like just tough. Very tough. Played good defense. We both played really good defense. He was my favorite. Most talented backcourt mate, Pargo for sure. Pargo by far was probably the most. Yeah, he was the most talented backcourt I make. And but favorite I would say Stone.
No Diamantidis.
You said what?
No Diamantidis.
I caught him at the end. He was 35. Like he was. Yeah, it was different. I loved playing with him though. I would put him but I didn't get to develop the relationship and the chemistry. I won 3 championships. I won 3 championships with Stone, and Pargo was I think Pargo was coming off of that year in Cheska where he didn't play that much. So he was just going crazy in Maccabi. He was playing his ass off. So that was probably my favorite backcourt mate. I would say as far as like Diamantidis is the most legendary teammate I ever had for sure, by far. And the energy around him, was very different than most teammates I had. It was, you could see that his aura was different. And when he wanted to turn it on, even at 35, you could see it. Like in that EuroLeague playoffs where he turned it on, like you could see it's like, oh shit, like okay, this is him. So, I would say in
Reese.
You said what?
Reese.
In college, I was thinking pro.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking about the pro level, but yeah, Tyrese for sure. Tyrese is up there. I think in my Keith Langford is probably he's the best scorer I've played with. He taught me a lot about scoring the basketball. So Keith, I would say, yeah, Keith is probably most talented. Pargo and Keith, talent for sure. Pargo and Keith, talent. And then if you add college, Tyrese. If you throw two big men in there, I would say who is my bigs in talent? Actually, Joe Alexander. Just talent. Like Joe Alexander was like maybe the most talented for like shoot it, dunk it, fast, strong as hell. Like his talent was just through the roof. You know, he was like just not always the best teammate for sure, but I mean his talent. I don't know if I played with a more talented big than Joe Alexander. And then probably Sofo too. Talent like Sofo. Just I mean it just is what it is. Throw him the ball down there, you know what's gonna happen. They got foul him or you're gonna dunk it, you know. So those are probably the most talented. I would say on the wing, my favorite probably Blake Shield on the wing. Blake Shield just smooth. 15, 5 and 5 every night, quiet. Don't even worry about it. Pick and roll, post up, smart, probably the smartest, you know, 3-man I played with. Yeah, he was smooth, man. He got it. Josh Carter is the best shooter I played with on the wing. I'm trying to think. My best pick and roll connection was with Mitchell Watt. Best pick and roll. Me and him just had it like we understood it. Get like 2 or 3 dunks every night. Pocket passes, good screens. You know, that was me and his pick and roll connection was really, really solid. Yeah, them some good ones, man.
Okay. So Makis, thank you a lot. I enjoyed it really much. I hope you enjoyed it too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. No, I appreciate you. Thank you. The questions brought up, it took me back for sure. It took me back to some really good memories.
So now let me know our viewers how to like it and subscribe our video. And thank you very much again.
Yo, appreciate you, man.
Εσείς μπορείτε να κάνετε like και subscribe στο βίντεο και εμείς θα τα πούμε σε κάποια από τις επόμενες εκπομπές ή συνεντεύξεις εδώ στο κανάλι του Totalbasket.gr στο YouTube.